Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Smoke Pit. We got myself and got Mike here, and so today we want to talk a little bit about ourselves and possibly some other things and some other things and some other things. All right, now that the officers aren't listening anymore, we're going to talk about hookers,
exactly,
and drugs,
sure,
tattoos,
of course,
stolen valor.
Oh yeah, I know you want to hit on that earlier.
Yeah.
My big thing is obviously this is the inaugural podcast, so I wanted people to kind of get a reason why they want to listen to us. So. The light's on me. I'm gonna start sweating, so let's do this.
Yeah, so I've been running Pop Smoke for a few years now. We've gotten kind of popular, and so a lot of people have been asking us about a podcast, and so we finally started to start one. And so I think the main purpose behind it is just so that way we can kind of discuss things that are on our minds and go more into depth than you can with just like a simple post or a meme or something.
Sure, yeah.
And get feedback from the audience, hear what you guys have to think, bring cool guests on, possibly some loose women.
I'm all about it.
Yeah. Even more importantly, possibly get some alcohol company to sponsor us.
Hint, everybody.
I'm looking at you, Justice Label Whiskey.
Ooh.
I'm looking at you. They were great. They had us come out and judge a beer contest that they were doing.
Yeah.
So they were pretty good to us. But yeah, so we got Veterans Day coming up, and every Veterans Day I get hundreds of messages of somebody in some fucked up piece of uniform or some out of reg something or torn BDU jacket or something.
Right.
And it's always roast this stolen valor fuck or make him famous or put him on blast.
Yeah.
And I have never done it.
The fridge is a part of this now.
Yeah, the mini fridge in the sound booth. Our executive producer is supposed to take care of that, but
I personally think he's on drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like him as a human being and as a producer, really.
I think he's not on the right drugs.
Right.
I think if he was on the right drugs, he might be more bearable.
He's on the knockoff crack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. That being said, I'm going to have a sip of this generic beer because he specifically told us not to.
Fun police as well as shitty producer.
He's over there with a taser to make sure we don't get off target. I really wish he had a camera frame over there. He's just furiously masturbating.
He is fully erect.
Very deep eye contact.
I've never seen anything like it. So big, yet so small.
Just so much hair.
Oh, I don't like it at all. It's like a roll of quarters.
I mean, just angry.
Ugh.
Yeah. So that being said, so how do you feel about all these people who go around fucking Applebee's or and if you get pissed by that, you can beep out the name later. And,
of course, yeah.
Now he's humping the ground. I mean, he's making so much noise.
I feel like every single topic is going to be stopped by our producer being an absolute goon. And I'm so excited for the show to go in this direction.
Yeah.
No, man, obviously, to answer your question, I remember when I was a young boot, like a couple months ago or whatever, stolen valor would obviously piss me off, like to the point it's like, fucking hang them, all that dumb shit. But if you look at videos now, stolen valor, it's usually people, usually it's some cucks like trying to get, monetary gain or something, but usually it's like mentally disturbed people or just like people who throw on something, they don't know what they're doing. So it's hard for me to get angry about it now. I actually have a story about stolen valor. I'm going to waive topic because I was very intoxicated. It may not even happen. I went back home.
I was just high on peyote.
Yeah, just blasted. Christmas.
Yeah.
I went home on leave.
As one would do on Christmas,
right,
go home and get high on peyote.
Right, yeah. I went home on leave, and I'd been in for like 2 years. So I was still pretty much a boot, and we're out at some bar, and some guy. This was 2010-ish, 2011, and some guy who worked for my buddy from high school came up to me and he's like, "Oh, this is my buddy Mike. He's home from the Navy." And as soon as he grabbed my hand, he didn't even tell me his name. He goes, "Hey, I was Army. I pulled my buddies out of a Humvee in Iraq." And so I was like,
"Oh wow, you went right in with that."
No name, no rank, no job, nothing. I was Army. Pulled my buddies out of a Humvee in Iraq.
He just like immediately divulged like probably one of the most intimate moments of his entire life.
So I responded because I'm hilarious on the spot. Yeah. I go, "Well, were they sleeping? Why are you pulling your buddies out of a Humvee?" And he didn't think that was funny because I'm supposed to respect his made up story.
Yeah.
And so I go, But then I kind of scaled back, and in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe this guy legitimately, you know, had the worst experience of his life, and that was just the first thing out of his mouth because he never met another service member in this small town.
Either that, or he was just like, man, this guy is really hot.
Yeah,
he was
sure.
like, trying to impress you.
Again,
Yeah.
fully erect, mind you.
Yeah.
So then I go, oh, okay, man. Well, and I just said the generic, you know, thank you for your sacrifice. And I shook his hand. I kind of fucked off. And I went about, you know, being my normal, hilarious, drunken self. You've all seen it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And if you haven't, just wait like 45 seconds.
Give me 10 seconds. Yeah. And so, yeah, so I'm doing bar stuff with my buddies. And this guy is just mean mugging me, like, across the bar the entire night. To the point that one of my chillest friends was like, you got a fucking problem? Like, it was that noticeable. And then,
so like your homeboy who's like usually chill, like he even
super
had
chill, yeah. I mean, he was baked out of his mind. He still noticed. He had no situation with this.
Yeah, he had no idea what was going on. All he knew is that he wanted nachos and somebody was mean mugging you.
Exactly. And so this guy, man, so then he come up to me and he's like, so what's your story? I didn't have one yet. I hadn't really deployed and done anything. And I was like, well, I graduated SOI, no big deal. But yeah, I'd done the same. I was like, I don't have a story. What are you talking about? He's like, you haven't deployed? I was like, no. He's like, you going to? I was like, I assume so. I don't know. He's like, well, you're Navy, so, you know, Navy ship, whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm FMF, I'm with the Marines. And he's like, well, are you infantry? And I was like, well, yeah. And he's like, okay. And he was like feeling me out, and he's not even asking questions about.
Because I always feel like there's this like weird ritual whenever you meet another veteran. It's like two dogs sniffing each other's asshole.
For sure.
You know, and you have to be like, so where'd you go to boot camp? Oh yeah, what was your MOS? How long you were in? Where are you stationed?
Right.
And then like once you feel comfortable enough with like your vetting questions, then you start to fuck.
It always ends in doggy style. All my stories do.
Yeah. The chair's really squeaky.
So it's super squeaky.
Yeah.
Again, our producer, a pile of dog shit.
We have 6 chairs that go with this table, and you had to pick this one.
You hear that?
Yeah.
You like that? You like what you hear? Yeah, so this guy's, just like you said, he's vetting me, asking all these generic questions, trying to figure me out. And then I kind of asked him, I was like, hey, man, like, where were you in Iraq? I assumed Iraq. And I was like, where were you in Iraq? Did you pull your buddies out? And he's like, oh, I was near Baghdad. I was like, well, what part? Like, exactly. Exactly. And, yeah, I know. Calm down,
What
Dan.
part of Jamaica
you weren't,
from?
You weren't there, Dan.
Right,
you don't know.
right near the beach.
Boy.
Yeah, I just made a meme about this too, and it's just like stolen valor fucks or something to that effect. Be like, and they have like a GWAT service hat, and it's like, if I wasn't a war hero, then why would I wear this hat?
He didn't have any of the douchey clothing on, so you wouldn't have guessed it. But
well, because he led right with that. Like, hey, how are you? Like, I pulled all my burning buddies out of the.
Yeah, no, he went for broke on his first handshake. Yeah. And then he's just like, yeah, I'm just trying to figure you out and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know why you're trying to figure me out. And I was like, look, man, if that really happened to you, I'm really sorry. And, like, obviously you need help because you bring it up to strangers and nobody wants to hear about it in the civilian sector.
Yeah,
even in the military
trying to
sector.
get bombed.
Exactly, right, yeah. I'm home in Indiana, the greatest state there is. Shout out Indiana. And
Florida.
Florida.
Florida is a Grand Theft Auto server.
I can smell Florida from here.
You know, growing up in Florida really prepared me for Iraq and Afghanistan.
That's fair.
I actually feel like there were less attempts on my life in Iraq and Afghanistan than there were growing up in Florida. You got crackheads, meth heads, and if you don't know the difference between the two, then you need to bow out the conversation right now, because there is a difference in how you approach them and how you run from them, and more specifically, how you fight them. Do not fight a crackhead the same way you fight a meth head. They teach us how to run from riptides, how to swim out of riptides, how to escape quicksand, how to run from alligators. Right. This is the kind of shit they teach you in Florida.
Yeah. Well, that's like grade 1 shit. Okay. I like anytime bringing Florida around Dan, he's gonna go on a Florida rant, and it's the greatest thing ever. So back to the story. It's almost over, but it's taking so long. This guy, he just keeps like, I'm trying to figure out. I'm just like, hey man, whatever, fuck off. Like, I don't even like this guy. But then my buddy, who he works for, was like, hey, let's go back to my garage, play beer pong, because it's Indiana, we don't have electricity, and that's all we got. Yeah. And
do you invite the guy?
Yeah. It was my buddy's friend.
Oh, okay.
So he had to go, I guess. And so we're in his garage playing beer pong, having a great old time, and then that fucking stolen valor dude fucks off, and he goes inside, and he comes out like 10 minutes later, and he has a 9mm tucked into his back waist.
Jesus.
So I know. How do you think I feel? I fucking lived it.
Yeah.
And he has it tucked into his fucking back pants, and there's like a couch in the garage. So I'm sitting on the couch watching the game go on, and this guy stands right in front of me, like literally perching it, like doing the Kim K, like with his 9mm, like, you seeing this? All right, I got heat, son. And I was like, nice gun, bro. And he's like, oh yeah, what? And he just like gaffed it off, like, oh, he noticed, you know. And then chill buddy again was like, you got a fucking like my buddy's getting riled up.
At this
like,
point, he's gonna get you shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm sure you couldn't shoot. But he's like, you got a fucking problem.
If I was the producer.
And then, it probably was, because our producer is a pile of garbage.
After he specifically told us to make sure our phones were on silent.
We love you. So he's flashing his piece in front of me, being all fucking G-hood, and finally he goes inside, and I'm like, I'm gonna go in and talk to this guy. Like, no crowd, no bullshit.
Yeah.
I go inside, he's sitting at the table, and he's like, it looks like he's about to clean his gun. Which,
oh my God.
I know. I don't know what he was doing. He had the mag out, but I don't know what he was gonna do. But I was like, okay, the douchiest thing he could do. And so I sit down in front of him. I'm like, look, man. I was like, obviously, you've experienced some traumatic shit. I'm really sorry. I was like, I hope you get the help you need. Like, obviously, this is messing with you. I don't mean to be a threat. Like, we're brothers in arms, man. Like, anything you need, I got you.
Yeah.
Then he's like, I don't know why people like you. And I was like, why people like me? This is about me now? What the fuck? And then
did you show him the gun?
Yeah.
Like, did you tell him your worst stories?
I feel like nobody saw your gun. Yeah, you should have done a fucking curtsy.
Did you tell everybody about your dead friends when you first met them? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You should have led with that.
You checked all the insane boxes.
Yeah.
And so now at this point, this guy is like starting to well up and like sniffle. Like, this guy is crying on me in this kitchen table in the darkness. And I'm like, hey man, I was like, look.
I feel like some Kenny Loggins should be playing, or Kenny G in the background.
I think Highway to the Danger Zone would be more appropriate.
Two very different moods.
And like, and so.
Versus two very different moods. Both end in hand jays.
And doggy style. And so this guy is welling up, about to cry, and I'm not even calling him out. I am just talking to him.
Yeah.
And you can tell that war story's worked on every single person he's ever told it to. And I'm the only one who I didn't call him out, I just go, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he's about to cry. It's this whole thing. And so finally I go, look, man, we're brothers. Well, I was drunk. I was being sentimental. You know how it goes. And I was like, we're brothers. Anything you need, I got you. I was like, you've obviously experienced some stuff. Get the help you need. I was like, they're not going to understand our pain, so you should stop putting it on them. And he's like, you're right, man. You're right. And he starts crying, like weeping openly. And then he goes upstairs and he goes to bed. So I literally put this guy to bed. So then I go out and I'm like flustered, and all my friends are like standing around the beer pong table like, did you kick his ass? Like, what? I was like, no. They're like, oh, we thought you went in there to fuck him up. I was like, no, not at all. And then I went to my buddy who hired him.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's that guy's deal? He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like a chronic liar. So he knew, but he just decided, this guy decided this time that since his military buddy's coming home, he decided to steal valor for this particular lie.
Okay.
So that was my
one. Last week it was like a fireman, like right, before that, like a trapeze accident. Or something,
he's like a stripper who lies a lot. He just changes characters.
Yeah, because like I know this guy who he was in our platoon, our first deployment. Our first deployment was pretty kinetic. We did some really big ops, and then after that, like he just went fucking apeshit and went UA, unauthorized absence, or AWOL, and just fucking like disappeared. And so he missed out on the next deployment. And a few years later, like I'm a combat instructor up in Quantico, and I get a fucking phone call from some second lieutenant lawyer, and it was like, Lance Corporal so-and-so just got arrested for being UA or whatever. Like, his dad dropped him off at the front gate and was like, no son of mine's gonna be like a coward or whatever.
Wow, yeah.
And I was like, that's a G move by the dad.
For sure.
I think his dad was like a non-vet or something. I might be mistaken, but either way, he was a fucking badass.
He acted like it, yeah.
Yeah, and so like the thing was is they wanted me to be like a character witness, and so like the idea is that he had bad PTSD from our first deployment, and that's why he didn't want to go on the second one, which I get, because my second deployment, like the very first patrol, was like one of the scariest moments of my life, because when you're like a boot, like you don't really understand what like pain and death is, like you may have like lost people, but like when you're a young buck on your first deployment, you don't really have the concept, But then like the second time around, like what the fucking happened. So like my very first like leaders recon, it was like a 30-minute long fucking, hey, so there's the fucking mosque, there's the cow field, like there's Muhammad, like he's got the fucking Haji DVDs, like my heart's fucking beating like this, just fucking boom, like a fucking cartoonish rapid heartbeat. It's like, I get it. Like, I understand, like, some people didn't want to go back to the shit, and I get it. But, like, not only did he go UA, but then he went home and like fucking lied about how like the government made him kill all these kids and he had all this bad PTSD and that's why he didn't want to go back, and they gave him the fucking key to the city and it was like some small fucking small fucking West Virginia or Kentucky town.
I bet they don't have a gate.
Yeah, and
God, the key to this shit.
Yeah, just
okay,
like a large cartoonish tin fucking,
right.
you know, like,
exactly.
You know, they probably put the fucking town in debt. They're very, very tight shoestring budget.
Exactly.
Like, do we spend the monies on paternity tests or on education?
Yeah.
Directly linked.
God.
And so, incest prevention or braces.
The only incest prevention in those towns is not having siblings.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then after that, like, he got up there and he's fucking crying in front of the judge and all this shit. And like, yeah, okay, whatever, I got.
Have you seen my key?
Yeah, he fucking, you know, he did his time, you know, he got fucking processed out, and he hits me up every once in a while, and it's just like, how do I feel about this? Because, like, yeah, like, he did stack body with us the first deployment.
That's what's up.
But then he, like, really discredited himself the second time.
Right, yeah. So I've heard you say this before. The thing that bugs you about that is, obviously, if somebody has, you know, mental trauma, that's a very real thing.
Yeah.
You either experience it yourself or you see somebody who has it, and it's horrible. But then you have those who are like, you know, disgruntled, PTSD, but I'm still a warrior. It's like you can't slay the dragon and be scared of the dragon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've heard you talk about that before, and it's true. Like
the guys that are like, I have the I'm comfortable with violence t-shirts, but then the signs that say please be cautious.
Yeah, don't do fireworks around me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, if you have legit problems, and I know tons of people that do, they don't talk about it and they try and get treatment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Of course.
Like, you're either still a fucking pipe hitter, or you're not, and you're retired. Because, like, nobody's going to take away from, like, a fucking linebacker who doesn't play anymore. Like, you did your time, like, we get it, like, you're retired now, you're not as young as you used to be. Like, it doesn't take away from anything that you've done. But, like, you can't have, like, dudes that are just, like, like you're saying, like, you know, you can't, like, act like you're still 100% committed, like you're still an active duty, you know, warrior or whatever, but then at the same time, like, ask for special treatment and consideration.
Agreed.
You know?
1,000%.
So, and that kind of, and that's what kind of gets me, is, like, you go to, you know, you go to these places like Applebee's or Denny's or whatever that has a free
I like you keep
breakfasts.
citing Applebee's.
I've had some good encounters in Applebee's.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's several chubby waitresses that, no, I'm kidding, never bang fatties, which I know is hypocritical because I'm a bit chubby.
Is that your PSA for the day?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fatties. My PSA is bang fatties.
Fair and balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, you go to one of these places and then, like, you know, you have civilians there, and, like, they don't give a shit. You know, all they want to do is just, like, shake your hand, fucking buy you a Coke or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, just feel good that they thanked a veteran, and then go on their fucking life. You know, like, your patriotism is going to pay their mortgage.
Right.
You know, like, people are like, oh, I wrote a blank check. I'm like, okay, well, who cashed it?
Right.
You know, like,
where's the money?
Yeah, like, you know, whose bills are being paid by that, you know, like, besides. But I immediately regret that decision.
That will be edited.
Yeah. Make sure, hey, producer. All right, I know you're taking notes right now. Please.
And by notes, you mean dicks in his butt.
Yeah. Like,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
but it's
like,
distracting him from his work.
Yeah. When the amount of dicks in your ass distracts you from your job.
When your hobby becomes your passion.
Yeah. That's when it becomes an issue.
For sure.
Yeah, so, like, you know, people, they don't give a shit. And I own a business where, like, I only hire vets and their family members, and, you know, and I advertise pretty hard on that because, you know, that's one of the things I'm passionate about, is helping vets find employment. And, you know, people will hire me for that, but they want to see, like, the waving flag and the salute. Right. But they don't want to hear the fucking gritty details behind it. Of course, you know what I mean? No. In a civilian's mind, everyone is a war hero.
Exactly. And I'm fine with that.
Because, like, I would rather have that than post-Vietnam veteran treatment.
Agreed, 1,000%.
And so you have, like, these people that they would rather just die face down in the mud with their quiet soldierly virtue than, you know, demand any sort of compensation or acknowledgement for what they've done. And honestly, I feel like those people are as much as a threat to the, you know, the veteran community as the people who go out of their way to lie about their service.
Of course.
Because it's like, all right, I get it. You don't want recognition. But at the same time, it's like you don't get to decide how every veteran is treated, how every veteran is representative.
I agree.
I don't get to decide that. You don't get to decide that. They don't get to decide that. Nobody gets to decide that. We as a collective can voice our opinion and that's all we can do. And then however that is interpreted by the civilian population, how they choose to treat us is one thing, because it could be that quick. Like we have people still alive today who were in the Greatest Generation, ticker tape parades, and all that stuff. And then you have people who are alive today that got experienced the shame and ridicule of coming home from an unpopular war.
Yep.
Like you have both of these people, and granted, the World War II vets are passing along now, but we have people who are alive that witnessed this.
Yeah.
And the World War II generation didn't exactly stick up for the Vietnam veterans.
No, not even a little bit.
It's like they got their warm welcome, and then they're like, okay, well, you guys do you. And so, like, we're in this generation now where you have these veterans who, they get mad at people for being proud of their service.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between, like, I served, I'm proud of what I did, and look at me, give me attention.
Right.
And there's a big difference. And where veterans can't distinguish is they don't know how to tell the difference between that. And they treat everybody with the same disdain that they would have treated a subordinate with while they're active duty.
Yeah.
And you can't treat people that way.
Agreed 1,000%.
You can't treat, veterans and other people that you meet like some, booth that just checked into your unit. And I've said this once and I've said 1,000 times. Like, imagine if you're just walking around, some retail store and the assistant manager comes up and just night hands, one of their retail associates is like, your name tag is a 1/4 of an inch off center, right. You piece of shit, you fucking, like whatever. And like, you imagine that, like that person would get fired, they'd probably get sued, it'd be a huge controversy.
I'd shop there more often.
Yeah, I mean, you and I would. I mean, like, we're here for the entertainment.
I'm all about it.
But the average population would be outraged. Yeah. Versus we're like, I don't know how it is in the other branches, but like, motherfuckers try to get personal with that shit.
Of course.
Like, you have like a little fucking a little thread coming out of your camis, and fuck around and see like have an E2 locking on an being locked on by an E3. Some E3 screaming at a fucking E2. Top of his lungs, like, you piece of shit, Marines didn't fucking die on Iwo Jima, so you could disgrace the fucking legacy of the uniform. Like, your fucking parents be fucking shamed. I swear to God, I'm gonna fight your mom. Like,
for sure.
They get fucking personal with that shit, and it's just like, really, bro? Like, it's just a thread. Like, I mean, granted, at the same time,
I don't even know you.
Yeah, like, you're not even my unit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And because I'm not a Lance Corporal of Motor T, I'm a Lance Corporal of Marines. I'm a Corporal of Marines. Like, okay, Pogue, like, chill out. And then and you have to hope that one of your NCOs is there to like, fucking shoo him away. Like, you get out of here, you dirty Pogue. Like, back to your barracks. And he runs off. But yeah, like, can you imagine that? Like, you show up to work, you have like a little thread, and somebody's like, fucking, people didn't fucking die in the Armenian genocide, so you can fucking disrespect. Like, and people don't realize that, like, you can't treat people that way, and everyone's so fucking proud of their DD-214, but then they don't want to stop acting like they were when they were on active duty.
That's huge. Yeah, it's always the first one back when Facebook was bigger than it is now. Now it's kind of for old people, but whatever. Like, people would get out and the first thing post on Facebook is DD-214, usually smoking a joint, something like that, and then the next day, like, upload a picture of them in dress uniform. You know what I mean? Like, it's so quick how much they miss the culture and they miss being in, but they're so quick to bash it. Like, and I hate that. Like, just pick a side.
Yeah, I get that. The day that I got out, I built a blanket fort out of my poncho liners in my living room, and I was watching Full Metal Jacket. And so
fully erect.
Yeah, my whore ex-wife came home, and the dirtiest whore.
You whore.
Yeah. And we'll say that it was her who took the picture, and it wasn't me who staged the photo or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like a picture of me in a little blanket fort made out of poncho liners watching Full Metal Jacket, and it's just like, you realize that your entire life has changed.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that we should all meditate, whether you're still active duty, or whether you're about to get out, or whether you have gotten out, or whatever the case is, just kind of that transition. Mm-hmm. And I think that'd be a good feedback for our listeners to let us know what they think, and we could segue that into another episode.
Absolutely.
So that's all our time, gents. Our executive producer just ejaculated into his own mouth, and that's
our red
the high
light.
sign. Yeah.
When he finishes, we finish.
Yeah, most units be like a Red Star cluster or something, like that ends. Yeah, the limited advance or whatever the case is. When he fired that White Star cluster into his own ocular socket.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he wasn't even wearing iPro.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think he meant to do it either.
Article 15, you know.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm Dan. This is Mike. Thanks for tuning in to the Smoke Pit.
Yeah, man.
Smokers and Jokers, Pop Smoke Nation. Tell your friends and stay frosty.